Hi, I just want to say Happy Memorial Day. Now, saying Happy Memorial Day almost sounds like reverse meanings because how can you be happy about someone who's passed away? We're remembering those who died. So, I want to tell you something that I have learned from those close, wonderful, amazing people in my life who have passed on. Okay, so, happiness is a choice. It is not a circumstance. And I learned that from the first important person who's passed in my life, my mother, Mom Marie, I called her, and she was a wonderful, happy woman. Okay, so I have to explain our situation because I'm trying to tell you that happiness is a choice. It is not a circumstance. Now, in her circumstance, my dad drank and beat the kids. He had 7 children, and she had 7 children, Mom Marie. And it was, she could be, and he was either rich or poor. He would be having a great big home with the swimming pool or homeless on the beach. And even when homeless on the beach, even when Mom Marie was homeless on the beach, with 7 kids, by the way, she would look up into the stars and say, "Kids, who has wallpaper like this? Isn't this amazing?" She would find joy in every moment, always. And even when he would come home and drink and beat the kids, and, it was pretty scary, after he would leave, because he was an alcoholic, so mind you, and after he would leave, she would check for broken bones, blood, whatever, because sometimes we had that. And she would just say, "Okay, let's change the attitude. Let's change the mood in this house." And she would honky-tonk the piano, and we would sing and harmonize, and I would jump up and down on the couch, and we'd dance. And we had such a happy family in that circumstance. And then my dad, Fred, who was a wonderful man himself, he just happened to be an alcoholic, got his act together after they divorced. He got his act together, married a wonderful woman, had 3 more children, and would sing, he would tell stories to the kids at bedtime and take them to the park. And he got his act together. So never give up on anybody because, he was sober for a very long time before he died. So my hat's off to a man who chose to change. And then I have my oldest brother, Richard. Richard was a walking missionary, okay? You couldn't take him anywhere, and he'd be talking about Jesus. We'd go into the grocery store, and as a teenager, I was very embarrassed by that. But, it's okay. He was wonderful. And he died of a car accident, and there was... and despite any circumstance that he had, he was still a happy, happy, wonderful missionary. And Utana, my oldest sister, she had a photographic memory. Even though she had a brain tumor and incredible, extensive headaches, she had a photographic memory. She'd get all these books and she'd open up the page and she could tell you what it said. It was pretty amazing. And she was always happy. She would always make you feel like $1 million. She was just happy no matter what, nevertheless. And then my brother Ira, who was an amazing artist. He could take the walls of a bare building and in a hotel or a museum or a hotel or a restaurant. And he has a restaurant row down in San Diego where he could create an entire 1920s environment. He was so amazing. What a great oil painter. But he was also, despite all the betrayal and despite all of the things that he has gone through in his life, he was such a happy guy. He went to my parent-teacher conference when I was in high school, and because I didn't have anywhere else to go, and he went to my parent-teacher conference, and he was like Rich Little. Those of you that remember Rich Little, he could change his voice to imitate anybody, mannerisms, everything. So we called him the Rich Little of the family, but he went to my parent-teacher conference, and 20 of my friends were at my house afterwards, and he had us roaring on, laughing so hard, because he was imitating every teacher, their mannerisms, what they said. Oh my gosh, it was really funny. He was just delightful. And then my sister Carol, who was an incredible decorator. She could take $5, $10 and totally decorate the house. She could have written a book on do it yourself because she was incredible. But she had a huge battle with cancer, and she had her sense of humor clear to the point where she was 75 pounds. She would say, look at me, I could be Miss Ethiopia. You could make bunk beds out of the blinds. I mean, she would still have a sense of humor and smile and laugh, even when she was going through so much. And then my wonderful aunt and uncle that I was actually raised with after my mom and dad were having troubles, I'd go back and forth. And my aunt and uncle, my aunt who was very ill, she had one of the first open heart surgeries in the United States. And she was always quite ill. And I would run home from school after elementary school to see if she was okay and give her a shot or help her with, food, whatever she needed, medication. Anyway, and so she was a walking Bible. I mean, my goodness, she knew her scriptures like you couldn't believe. She could just quote multiple crazy, amazing ones, not just the normal ones we all kind of memorized, but the ones that were difficult and hard. She was a walking Bible. And then my sweet uncle, Dad Daryl, he had been his family had come from Denmark, and they'd had a Danish bakery, and he was the most amazing baker I could ever tell you. He would take, one day I was trying to get a recipe because he just threw everything together from his hands. He'd grab everything off his hands, and he would be just grabbing the flour, the salt. He could just create out of just nothing. And one time he grabbed a handful of flour, and I go, wait, I want to measure that. It was a perfect cup. One perfect cup. I couldn't believe it. He knew how to pinch a tablespoon and a teaspoon. It was incredible. He was also a miner and had black lung, and he was so kind and gentle and sweet and wonderful and would care about everybody. So, there's nobody and no thing makes you happy. You make you happy. It's a choice. It's not a circumstance. In the diary of Anne Frank, she's known for being happy in the vilest of circumstances. She said they can drag me out and beat me and strip me and take my parents and friends. And you know what? It's still my choice to be happy. No one can take that away from you. You can choose not to react to bad circumstances or to people or to whatever. You can choose to react yourself and make your life and your family and the people around you happy. You don't need to react to other things and other people. You can choose to be who you are. You're a human being, and you're a child of God, and we're not human doings, we're human beings. It's very important that we learn to know who we are and love that, and take time to grieve. I know we do need to grieve for those who have passed. Even Jesus said, weep with those who weep and mourn with those who mourn. He did not say cheer them up. So take time to validate your feelings, validate other people's feelings, but choose to be happy and have a happy Memorial Day.